Hello, BookTube, and welcome back to your Daily Penguin. This is my tour through my Penguin Classic wall, that big wall you see behind me that's had a bit of a crosshairs on it lately as I start to reimagine the books here in this little book room. And part of that emphasis falls on the Penguin wall. I don't know how much of it, but a whole wall of mostly canonical classics that I can read for free on my iPad seems a bit excessive, when maybe a long sought goal of mine might be to have all of my books in this room instead of scattered all over the place. But we shall see. I also have started looking at the actual walls, the actual shelves, aside from the Penguin walls in this room, to see what's here and what's not. It's been a while since I gave this room thorough going over. So, which is to say that if I'm making BookTube videos in 2021, this background might not look the same. One way or another, we are going through these Penguins, and we have been concentrating in the last few days on works of nonfiction in order to coincide, in order to help celebrate Nonfiction November here on BookTube, a big event made by Olive at a Book Olive and a bunch of other great hosts, designed to raise the profile of nonfiction on BookTube, to celebrate it and to encourage people to read more of it. And so my pick today might seem a little strange because it's a collection of fictional stories, but the collection is the thing. The translation, the provenance, the edition, that's all very much the province of nonfiction. And that's the wiggle that I'm allowing myself, because I don't know what December is going to be like at all. So I wanted to make sure I got this particular Penguin set in for our Daily Penguin, because it's a magnificent addition to the Penguin line. This is 1001 Nights. The Arabian Nights, Tales of 1001 Nights, in Penguin Classic, in 3 big volumes. 3 huge volumes. As opposed to, for instance, Penguin's previous edition, which was one very short abridged volume that had just the famous stories. The stories that have become, the famous stories in the West, the stories that have become famous in English language translation. They have been since the Victorian era. This is much more of the whole of that reading experience. This is a translation by Ursula and Malcolm Lyons, with an introduction by Robert Irwin, and it's 3 big, glorious volumes of, well, you know the basic outline of the whole thing. Scheherazade, literally telling stories to keep alive, to keep the king from killing her. Every story that beguiles him earns her another night. And a lot of these stories will be familiar. Some of them will be familiar to a Western audience, the Sinbad and Alibaba and all that. But there's so much more going on when I got this originally. This edition came out. I got this from Penguin in 2008 or 2009, something like that. And when I first got it, I thought, come on. This is great. It's great that Penguin's doing this. It's a massively influential work of literature, a body of literature. So it deserves more than just one little abridged volume. But I don't need to read my way through 3 big fat volumes. That's what I thought. And then I did it. And the difference between this and a cherry-picked abridgment is night and day. This is a sprawling universe of all kinds of different characters and at all kinds of different levels of society. And it's thickly populated with supernatural beings, especially genies, who are I believe we have a picture of one of them. Yeah, there we go. Not what most people would consider a genie to look like, but they're absolutely through and through these books. They are supernatural X factors running throughout the whole of this fictional universe. And that, in a typical cherry-picked, children's story, Western adaptation, Ray Harryhausen type of 1-volume abridgment, you won't get any sense of that at all. You won't get any sense of the sexual license or the international stuff that goes on, or the psychology that runs through a lot of these stories. it's only when you read them in this kind of a glut, this kind of an unabridged trove, that you realize why they would be such an influential thing, why they would be so quoted and mined and loved and known and adapted for so many years, for so many centuries. I didn't get that at all with Penguin's previous, I think it was, I forget when it was, I think it was in the late 1960s, a one volume that had mainly very isolated stories that are well known, characters that have gone on to star in comic books. I don't think I even have that one volume abridgment anymore, because this was so satisfying. And the translating duo does a great job of parsing it all out, annotating it all, and telling you all about it. The translator's note here is amazing. The introduction is amazing. Because a really good conversational, accessible English language translation will only go so far. The thing I love Penguins for is that they go even more. They tell you the rest of it. They give you a class in a book, so that you don't need much else in order to appreciate the thing that you're encountering. That happens here in a way that is just amazing. So even though these stories are made up, I'm mainly thinking in this video, I'm mainly thinking of the text itself, which is finally, with these volumes, been given the treatment that it deserves from Penguin Classics. So that's how I'm wriggling out. Plus, today is a particularly lightness in the step, fiction celebration, good versus evil kind of day. So I thought that these would work better for that, and I wanted to make sure I got to them. So that's your Penguin for today. It is the 1001 Nights. And if you have always been interested in this massive repository of stories and characters, and haven't quite known what version to do, there are a few good, scholarly, sound English language editions, but this one's right there in Penguin. So your Penguin for today is a recommend. I recommend encountering these stories anyway, even if the only version that you have available in English around you is one of those heavily abridged, bright, colorful illustration editions of the very famous Western stories. Even if that's all you have, it's at least a toe in the water, and I recommend that, because this is a whole world. And it's a world that's only very lightly adjacent to the mythological and sociological worlds that its Western readers will know. So it's eye-opening. Well worth your time. So that's your Penguin for today. It's the 1001 Nights. We'll move on tomorrow to something much more explicitly nonfiction, I'm sure. I just had to get this one in. And I wasn't feeling all that nonfiction-y at the moment. But I will wrap this up for now, but I will be back. Thank you, BookTube.